Da. Phew. Last minute professional setup. It's 8:59 a.m. early.
They can't see the box.
Look at that. If you're watching that later, you get to see me prep for things. Woo-hoo. Just really just me throwing things in the corner. Okay, all right. 8:59. Usually I have a picture here instead. I took it off early. Oops. Chat box so far, but I can't see. That's gonna hurt. Alrighty. People are tuning in. Hello and welcome to another Wednesday morning live video with me, your host, Andrea from the Quilting Shed here in sunny Fredericton, New Brunswick. It is not sunny, it's actually starting to rain. And it is fall. Fall is in the air, leaves are changing. Apparently it's Thanksgiving weekend. I have no idea how that snuck up on me. Just barreling all the way through the fall here. So, hey, good morning to Zoran in the comments. Zoran is the nom de plume of one of my grandkids. So, anyway, happy birthday, baby. Love you so much. I have some cool things to show you too, or tell you about later, specifically for you, Zaid. So, there we go. What is up for today? Other than I hit the ground running. Yes, I totally washed down my meds with Dr. Pepper this morning. Like an adult. So it's almost Thanksgiving, and one of the things I did just before I came online, just before I came on video, was mark down the old fall fabric stock. Yeah. So $10 a meter, and we have the Bountiful Harvest. I'm only going to show you a couple of bolts. This is the metallic fall colors. There are a couple of the leaf prints. You can see these online on our website at thequiltingshed.com. So there's tons of this great print left, and I've marked them down, this line down to $10 a meter for Bountiful Harvest. It also has pomegranates, which to me screamed Christmas. My mom is also in agreement. This is very, very Christmassy, but hey, it's $10 a meter, so you can use it for either season. I'm not going to police you. There's a few more prints left in this line, especially the blender prints, which are a nice scroll design in like green and red. 2 greens and a red. Yeah? Yeah, 2 greens and a red. Awesome. Little elves working behind the scenes. They have been declared pretty by the 10-year-old in the comments, so good going. The other line that is on sale down to $10 a meter now is Autumn Afternoon. This is from Northcott. It's very nice fabric. It's got sunflowers and gourds and pumpkin because it is totally pumpkin season and gourd season. We love us some decorative gourds, don't we? So it's not just the gourds. There's also the sunflowers. There is a matching panel, and I didn't get to the panel yet, but I will mark it down if you really want the panel with the big Adirondack chair on it. There is also a panel for fall. This is Happy Fall, y'all, with a bunch of texty words on it, and I believe that's already $10 for the panel. If it's not, it will be. I know, it's neat. I can totally do that. I'll even make myself a note. Mark down. Fall panels. See, I didn't do this ahead of time because, as you may know, or as you have heard, I am doing training with FAF because now I'm a FAF dealer officially. It's great. I'm doing training with FAF. This is the last week. We are really getting into some heavy stuff. Yesterday, I learned all about the Creative Icon 2.0, which is their top of the line embroidery machine and sewing machine. It does both. I was able to play with it some yesterday, a little bit more than I've played with the others. It's amazing. I'm not actually going to show it to you today. I'll save that up because I'm still figuring some things out. But it has like this touch screen on the side, and it's Wi-Fi enabled. And it was funny in the training where the lady was like, if you have the home device from Amazon that starts with an A, I can't say the name in case it activates in your home. It works with that. Show the cute Halloween bag panel. Oh, my mom wants you to know I have a Halloween trick-or-treat tote panel also on sale. It makes 2 little trick-or-treat bags. There's not a lot left. Can you get me one? Yeah, it's good to have the kid in the background too. Thank you, Snowy. My mom was in the shop yesterday helping out while I was in training. So if you were in yesterday and you were helped out by my mom, good on you for giving her some work to do. Apparently, we are tough taskmasters here. This is the trick-or-treat tote panel. It's marked down now to $8.40 for you get to make 2 of these. This one I did put a little fusible fleece in for your spooky night. The other panel has a different design. Oh, it's got a cute little, it's got a different little kitty cat on it. So there we go. Not sure how many we have left. Not a lot. So there's that. We have like 2 left. Okay. I think. Pretty sure we only have a couple left. So there we go. So yeah, I was talking about the big ass Creative Icon 2, which is insane. It's the machine that has the biggest throat space. 310 millimeters, I think is what she said, which is 31 centimeters, which is like a foot-ish. I was in junior high when when Canada put through the metric system. So they had started teaching us some of the imperial measurements, but also had to start teaching us the metric as well. So the curriculum was changing as my teachers were teaching it. And of course, none of them were used to it. So, and this is like when I was taking home ec too. So that's why my brain can flip back and forth between both of these things. So yeah. So last night when I put my reminder post up, because I forgot to schedule it in advance. I've been very, very terrible about scheduling my social media posts. I said, in the background, I said to myself and the room at large and my poor, long-suffering family, what am I going to talk about in the morning? No idea. Nothing new came in. I do have truckloads of fabric coming. Not literally truckloads, but sometimes when the paperwork comes in, it feels like it's going to be a truckload. Machines were a pallet worth of machines, so that was fun. Zaid is working on a drawing for me. Thank you, baby. I love you. I hope it's fantastic. Of course, it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, all these machines. Grandbabies are distracting. So yeah, but I didn't have any new fabric to show you, and I've shown you a lot of new things. I do have a couple other new things I'm not quite ready to show you because that never works out well for me. If I show you something new and they're like, yeah, I don't have it in inventory yet, and then I kind of stuff it in the back room, forget about it. I know. It's been that busy. Last night I was hoping to do some work after dinner. That never happened. Sat down with the husband for just to recap our day after dinner and hold hands. And he bats his big brown eyes at me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not working. So I said to myself, I still got to unpack some more of these sewing machines and put them on display, and also do all my training homework that I'm supposed to do because I have to get familiar with all of the features on all of the machines. No biggie. So Scooby and the gang are here to solve the mystery of your sewing machines and mine. Love this shirt. So we're here to solve the mystery, and this one here is actually really easy to open because it didn't even have tape on it, which is fine. But this is from the Ambition line. Or if you're German, fall. I did kind of just pop it open just to look. I mean, I know what's in it.
Make sure the machine's still in there.
The machine is still in there, yes. Here I said I can do it, and then promptly, screw up opening the box. So yeah, these things are all like really extremely well packed. There was one box like this I opened. It had another box inside. I opened that, and whew, thankfully there was just a sewing machine inside, not another box. Oh yeah, so this is the Quilt Ambition, probably something. I remember we talked about this in my training. This one in particular comes with 160-year anniversary 5 bonus presser feet. And I know they have limited quantities left of this model. When they're gone, they're gone. Your standard presser foot. So this is one I know a few of you might have. So just throwing these. It might be different color, but I think many of you watching have told me you do own a fab, have the ambition. You have the ambition. Just try to get the handle through all the plastic. That's not going to work. So this one has the plastic case. Oh wow, this is really well packed. Like there's styrofoam in here and everything. So that's the hard plastic cover. And I'm one of those people who I leave my machines out all the time, and I'm really bad about putting a cover back on them. But I'm definitely going to get a little pickier about that, especially here in the shop, just because cutting fabric all day creates a lot of dust. And if you cover up things, then you don't have to dust them. So really, it's saving you some work in the long run, just to like stick that cover back on your machine. And then that way, maybe it's not really haunting you that you're not using it. It's just sitting there going, please sew on me. Please. Please, lady, will you sew on me? But yeah, this, see, I'm going to have to do this two-handed because for some reason, when you break your arm, it doesn't work right for a while. But most of the time, it's fine. Oh, this is nice. Little did you know, you'd tune into a hot, sweaty me. And now you can't see it. This should come right off. Yeah. I'm just going to stick them on the bolts that are sitting here. Sorry for the shakes. It's not an earthquake. It's just me. My mom's probably laughing at that one. So, yeah. We interrupt this programming. Professional programming from, a high-quality video person. Famous in small corners of the internet. So yeah, this is the Pfaff Quilt Ambition 635. Isn't it pretty? Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. I'm not going to plug it in this time, but it's got your standard things. It's got a speed control, so you can sew fast or sew slow. That's really handy, and I'm finding when I talk to people and when I switch from machine to machine, I do miss it. I like to sew fast. It's got the top load bobbin, which I haven't used a lot of top load bobbins before, but pretty easy. It's pretty slick. Really, really like it. Not sure what this is, but I will find out. Aha, threaders. Oh, neat. Huh. That's cool. Not sure what it is yet, but it's cool. So this one has like the little LCD screen on it, which you may be familiar with. It's fairly lightweight. It's nice. These are nice and smooth and quiet. That's what I've noticed. So yeah, I want to talk about just machines in general for a bit. So I have told you the story about when I got my first sewing machine. My great grandmother in England died and left me a little tiny bit of money, not a ton. And I think my grandmother said she kicked in a little bit as well. But she sort of decided for me, or strongly convinced me that I should just get a sewing machine. And I'm pretty sure it was like $285 refurbished. And this was in 1987. So fairly decent machine, but it was all metal. And it was the label on it was an Omega denim machine, is what it said. And I eventually got so I could take that thing apart like nobody's business and basically service it myself, just like the general cleaning and servicing. I wanted to find out how it worked. But I sewed that thing right into the ground. Like it lasted a good 20 years. Like I'm serious. It was pretty dead by then. I sewed a lot of clothing for my kids on it. I sewed just about everything: hemmed pants, made Ron a suit, little kids' clothes, toddler clothes. Started a lot of my first quilts on it. You name it, I sewed it. Christmas presents, tote bags, just anything I did in that era was done on that machine. And then over the years, I would pick up miscellaneous other kinds of sewing machines from other manufacturers like Kenmore's and Singer's. And I think the Omega one was a Janome in the back end. And I've used for other machines. I've had a few of those. We have a Bernina Saga story, which my mom was still going on about yesterday. Thanks, Mom. But you got to take it home finally. So I love how the story changes over the decade. She bought the Bernina. We're supposed to go halves on it. It stayed at my house for 10 whole years. Now I don't use it anymore because, yeah, I kind of ran that one into the ground too. But I have learned a ton about sewing machines so that I don't run them into the ground anymore. And the reason I have an industrial brother is so that I use that machine for, or an industrial of any kind, I use that machine for lots of layers and lots of things where you need the power of the machine to force that needle down through many layers of fabric, like bags. And just to skip back a minute, the Creative Icon that I tried yesterday in our training, she said that that one does have the power to go through like 16 layers of fabrics and materials for when you're doing bag making. I haven't tried it. A little scared to try it. Don't know if I'd do 16 layers, or maybe try 8 with like your fabric and your interfacing. By the time you add all those up, that's a lot of layers to go through. But yeah, that's why I like the all metal parts. So when I got to the point where we have this quilt shop and we're getting bigger, I'm like, I got to get sewing machines in because people are asking about sewing machines all the time. Oh, Mom said 13 years, but who's counting? Oh yeah, when I had that first machine, I made my mom a whole bunch of work clothes. We'd go to the chain store that starts with an F and get a lot of their buy one, get 2 meters free fabrics. And I would make her like these shift dresses for the office. Dirt cheap. That was a fun time. Completely forgot about that. So I learned about working with all kinds of various fabrics, working with all kinds of garments. I would remake garments. I made a pair of jeans into a jean jacket. I cut down clothes, adult size clothes into toddler clothes. It was a wild time. It was a wild time. I did everything. You get like a big bag of thrift store clothes that somebody's giving you because they're like, oh, she has a bunch of toddlers out in the country. I'll just give her a garbage bag full of whatever kind of clothes. And I would just go through and remake a ton of them. So yeah, so when I got to the point where I'm like, I need to carry some machines in the shop. I knew we had a lot of FAF owners here in the city. There's an amazing ton of FAF owners now that I'm finding out because they're crawling out of the woodwork because they've heard I, carry the FAF machines. we service the FAF machines. I got definitely getting in some parts, and I am forming a list so I can get some parts in, because the bobbins in particular, you actually do have to use your FAF bobbins in your FAF machines. I will tell you why later. So yeah, and I'm going to be really honest, but I'm going to follow that up. I'm going to be really honest. I just picked FAF because I knew they were a good company to deal with. I knew they would work with smaller quilt shops. So there's not necessarily a huge initial investment right away that you have to be like, you have to put up X amount of thousands of dollars to put our machines in your shop. We can space that out a little better for you, for your smaller shop owners. So appreciated that. They've been fantastic to work with. And I was like, yeah, I've tinkered on them. I've seen other people, they're happy with it. Yeah, sewing machines are sewing machines. But I've been going through this training. I've been going through this training, and I got to tell you, I'm learning some amazing things about these particular machines, about the patents they hold, about the technologies they have. And yes, there are other sewing machine brands that have some other things, but the things that I am learning about this particular machine, this particular company, have been really impressive. And if you know me, I am not always easily impressed by things. This, I am impressed by. I'm not a spring chicken who is impressed by bells and whistles and the promise of big and shiny machines. And I'm the shop owner, so I have access to like the models from the starter line to the mid-range to the high end. So I can sit here and compare them at my leisure and find which are the ones that I personally would like to sew on, which are the things that I find really helpful. And I did have one of the machines home for the weekend, the Quilt Expression. I had the Quilt Expression something or other at the end. I'm going to get better at remembering the numbers, I swear. 720, thank you. The Quilt Expression 720, I had that at home over the weekend, and I said, I have to try a few things on this other than general sewing. And I set it up for some free motion quilting with the included foot. And it has some things where it senses stuff for you. When you tell it what foot you put it on, it knows. No wrestling in the manual, where it's like, oh, I've used other machines that you put this foot on, and then you have to change a bunch of settings. So in a lot of the FAF machines from the mid-range up, you put the foot on the machine, and the machine senses the foot that you've got and adjusts itself accordingly. Like, yeah. And I was sitting yesterday in the meeting thinking, when I was looking at the detail, like the Creative Icon has this big screen that's right here, and it's a touch screen. It works like a tablet, but it's on your sewing machine. It's insane. And I kept thinking, this is what a sewing machine would be like if Steve Jobs made sewing machines instead of phones. Like the level of, and I'm not talking about the super fantabulous technology inside. It's got all that too. Like the technical specs and the software that it's built on. I mean, I'm a geek. I was highly interested in that. Like what's this thing coded in? That's some of the stuff that I wanted to know that the trainer can't quite answer. She's like, I can tell you how to push the buttons. I can't tell you how they got the button there. Like, but the Creative Icon, it's Wi-Fi enabled. Like, I turned it on the second time, and it's like, hey, we have a software update to download. Would you like to do that now? I'm like, okay. Let's do that. Let's update the software on my machine. That's like, here's the release notes. We fixed this. We moved this icon. Like my car does it now. Oh, got to update all the things. So this is crazy. So yeah, I have been really impressed with this. And when I was using the Quilt Expression 720 at home and had set it up for free motion quilting, it had the defaults all set. I did have to tinker with it a little bit and double check the manual. Sometimes I like to read the manuals. Sometimes I like to dive right in because I think, oh, I know this. Sometimes I get in trouble. But yeah, it was really easy to work with. And I got to tell you, yeah, I know what I was going to talk about. I got to tell you, I was really impressed. I have a piece right here. I have a piece right here that I worked on. that I did free motion quilting on the Quilt Expression, and yeah, it looks fantastic. Like, seriously. And I did it in purple. Like, fantastic in terms of the stitch formation. You don't see any tension issues back there, do you? Anything that you see on the back here that you can see when you come in the shop is me, because there were certain times where it skipped stitches, but that was me, like, not paying attention, screwing up with other settings, because I was, just familiarizing myself with the buttons and stuff. But yeah, that's amazing. This is Rock Candy Table Topper. We'll be doing that in the class. And that's some stuff falling over there. So the other thing that I tested on the other machine, and this machine has it too, because I can see the lever. It's this nice black little pointy lever in the back here. So Pfaff has this thing called the Integrated Dual Feed. And the abbreviations are IDT, which is not IDF, it's IDT, because that's the German word for integrated dual feed, which I don't know and can't pronounce. I know like 2 German words. And one of them is 9. So yeah, it has the integrated dual feed, which works like a walking foot. But I'm here to tell you, having used a walking foot for years and years and years on multiple machines, this is way better. I am not just saying that so you will buy a machine from me. It's just better. It's fundamentally better. And I will tell you why. Because I have a really high-end industrial machine that I just mentioned from another company, not to knock it at all, because they do what they do. They do it well. I put the walking feed on, and even in the manual, it tells me for that particular machine from the other company, it says, don't go top speed. Don't go top speed with the walking foot on, because your stitches won't form correctly. And I keep saying, I like to sew fast. I just want to get her done. If you're telling me you can do 1,500 stitches a minute, I want to do the 15 stitches 100 a minute, and I should be able to do it with the walking foot on. So rationally, my brain says, well, it's got to do that 2-motion thing to get your fabric to feed through correctly. So I'm like, all right, let's see what happens when I use the IDT on a Pfaff machine. First off, nothing in the manual about not going top speed. They're just like, activate it, sew like normal. I'm like, fine. So I floor it. And you know what happens? It still sews perfect stitches. It didn't blink. It didn't make funny noises. It didn't sound like it was going to fall off, which is what happens on some of my other machines. I sew fast with a walking foot, and it feels like, the sky's falling or something. Like, my husband's down the hall going, you're sewing with your walking foot on again, aren't you? Slow down. Because he knows what happens. But these machines, oh my God. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm really impressed. That is not marketing. That is not sales. That is not a script. That is Andrea, who's been sewing for, I don't know, how long ago was the 80s? However many years since that on sewing machines. That long, being like suitably impressed. And I'm really impressed that it's not just a feature on the high-end stuff. It's here. So Bonnie has a question too. Like, since this is a quilt shop, one of the things I've been looking at is, okay, what kind of quilting features do they have? And Pfaff has a ruler foot. Because Bonnie just asked, can you use the templates from Silly Moon? So there are ruler quilting templates, the plastic rulers. We call them rulers, but technically they're templates because they don't measure distance. I love her husband for that, from Silly Moon. The husband and wife team. He makes them, and he's like, they're not rulers, they're templates. So yeah, Pfaff does have a ruler foot. I haven't tried the ruler foot yet because it's an additional part. But I have to tell you, yes, it will work. They will work the same on Pfaff machines. If you can get a ruler foot for your particular machine, then yeah, you can use the Silly Moon ruler quilting templates, and from any other company. They've even tested some of these machines with the Westerly ruler foot, which I also have. Haha. So I did hear there's like one older, obscure Pfaff machine that doesn't like ruler quilting, but again, it's older. It's trying to think of the phrase here. It's an anomaly. It's a bit of a It's an outlying issue. But generally speaking, yeah, ruler work is next on my list to try on the FAFs. The other thing I'm going to do soon is put the quilt expression 720 on the cutie frame so we can free motion on the cutie frame with the expression. I'm really looking forward to that one because that'll be wild. Because while I was quilting on this, the one thing that I wished for that I had while I was testing it was the extension table. You definitely need more space. But if I put it on the cutie frame, I've got all that space with the frame. So that'll take care of that. And yeah, that's the excitement from here. I'm just diving into these machines. I didn't even tell you about Serger Day. Like, yeah. And yes, eventually we will have classes on ruler quilting, which is going to be friggin' awesome. If you have done some free motion work before, then to me, the ruler quilting is the first step up. Because I feel like if you started with ruler quilting, there's been a couple of people who tried without knowing how to free motion, and a small percentage has found that easier. But I feel like it would be easier if you did know how to form the stitches and do your speed right with the free motion work before you got into the ruler work. So yeah, we do have classes coming on that, and that would be one of the things I would talk to you about, because you do have to do some prep work for that kind of a class. So yeah, my head is just spinning with all these possibilities. Like, I played with the serger, and I'm a serger girl. Like, I sew on knits a lot. When I did a lot of garment work, I discovered that knits were my favorite, and a lot of people hate to sew with knits, but you get the right tools, it's great. And yeah, this is the other thing that I was telling people, because I've had people say, you know, I got a $400 sewing machine. What do I want a $1,000 machine for? Well, if you have a $400 sewing machine and it's working for you, great. And you hardly use it, great. But if you're sitting home and you're like, well, I would like to quilt more, but every time I go to use my machine, I have problems. Every time I sit down to sew, it's a struggle. It might not be you. It might actually be your machine. You may have outgrown your machine. It may not have the capabilities of what you're trying to do. It may be a bum machine. I hate to say it. I do have a couple of what I call inexpensive machines that I have them for things like stop gaps for when one of my other machines was like in the shop, or I needed something to lug to a class that wasn't, 27 pounds. I just need something to just take. And it was just, I'll just buy it, whatever. It's cheap. It'll be fine because it's a sewing machine, right? And then every time I use it, I just want to stab myself. It's okay, maybe that's a little over dramatic, but it's like using a toy, this spare machine that I have, that I got brand new, reputable company, entry-ish mid-range. I mean, it wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't, it was only a few $100, but it's like sewing on a toy. And God forbid I go through 4 layers on it. It protests at 4 layers? Seriously? So what I'm saying is maybe it's not you. Maybe you should actually look at your machine. And as I'm doing classes, I know people just bring whatever to the class sometimes. So I do see some, it's my spare machine, or I don't use this often, or I borrowed it from somebody else and I'm not familiar with it. And it's totally fine. But I can also see them struggling with things that they shouldn't have to struggle with. So maybe that's something you can think about, because I know for me personally, with multiple hobbies, I told one of my class students, about my photography when I did took a lot of pictures. Yeah, I got so totally into photography. You get the tools that you can afford when you start, which is totally fine with a hobby. Just get what you can afford when you start, the entry level, because if you don't like it, no biggie. But then you might get so far and you're like, I'm struggling to be more creative. I'm struggling to get the results I want. And to me, that I've learned that's the level where I need to invest in slightly better tools. And then I get some slightly better tools, and that eases some of the problems. And totally works for me. See you later, Bonnie. Hey, your quilt as you go for October is ready. Yeah, I gotta send that email. If you haven't picked up your October block of the month, it's totally here. I do have a list. We're checking off the names this time. I know. So yeah, I was talking about tools. So that's just something to think about, not trying to convince you of anything, but you know, I hate to see people struggle. I really hate to see people struggle. Never forget the time I was doing a free motion class for one of the guilds, and I sat down at somebody else's machines because they were just having a terrible problem. So I just went to do the free motion like I normally do. And I've got lots of practice. I should be able to sit down to any machine that's set up for free motion and quilt like I normally do. It was terrible. So it was the machine. It was not her. It was not me. It was the machine. It was the machine. Sometimes it's the machine. Yeah. And that's when you should start thinking about investing in something that's, going to make your hobby a lot easier and a lot more fun. I want you to have fun. This is fun. You shouldn't have to sit down and struggle. Kind of a lecture. I know. But yeah. So my other takeaway from this is, I know some of you already have FAFs, did a little survey in the last newsletter, got some fun answers back. Like I said, I'm a manual girl. I like going through the manual and trying a few things. And I know a lot of people don't have necessarily the time always to do that. So there will be some other classes coming up with like FAF owners. We'll get some FAF owners in here. We'll have a little class. We'll explore your machines and what it can do. So if you're interested in that and you hadn't done the survey in the last newsletter, just send me a message, let me know, email, smoke signal, whatever. Phoning and calling is on the bottom of the list. If you come in and just verbally tell me, just make sure I write it down. So yeah, the tools really do make a difference. And I'm very excited. You're not going to see anything super fantastic get produced anytime soon from me, but it's coming as soon as I learn this embroidery feature. Did you know some of these machines actually have quilting designs that look perfect? Like, yeah, yeah. Hold on to your hats there because we'll be getting into that. So that's what I have for you today. And don't forget, fall fabrics on sale. The patterns are still on sale at 40% off. We've been cleaning out some of them. I would really like to get rid of some more, but they're only on sale for the next week. The jelly rolls are still on sale from Jelly Roll Day. I'm going to be taking them back off sale. So if there was ones you wanted to get on sale, better get in. We are getting in some new stock for jelly rolls. They will indeed be regular price, sorry to say. And I will be starting some rolling sales where different things will be on sale for like a couple of weeks or so at a time, just to clear out some overstock. Because as we move things here, I'm like, why do I have so much of this, but not enough of this? So the things that I have a lot of is like, let's put them on sale, get rid of some, just so we can get some room. And that's what I have for you today. So me and the gang say thanks for stopping by. My assistant will be here later and still here. Yeah, I gotta run. I got stuff to clean up, things to mark down. So you've been awesome. Any questions, as always, that you have for me? Any comments? Any weird questions? Help somebody post a photo to Facebook from their phone the other day. Yeah, it's no biggie. It was a quilt picture. It was related. It's my job to answer your questions. And I love this. You can tell, right? Like, look at this. I just really appreciate the design too, and the thought that's gone into some of these. Like, that's what my point was trying to be earlier. Some places it's just like, yeah, we're just sticking this button here because it goes there. These guys actually think about the design from a user interface and a user experience perspective. Yeah, I'm just loving the whole experience here. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm going to pull you guys a little bit closer, just so come on in for a hug. Come on in. Yeah, bring it in. Bring it in. Hugs and kisses to you all. I'm going to wrap it up. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, I'll see you later. Bye. Whoops. Clicked it twice. I really need sugar in my tea.